November 6th of 2025, I had a dream and I want to share it with you guys. Per usual, I'm going to read it off to you guys and then discuss it later. It starts off, I saw a glimpse into the political theater. In reality, the governor of NYC and the lady that was elected in Virginia, all of those were recently elected, had just happened, and I had this dream that night. There was a televised moment of someone who was just put into office signing a document. I watched as the guy who was signing the document looked like Kramer from Seinfeld. He was dancing and singing a song with a laminated certificate in front of him. And I say certificate, but because the document itself looked like a certificate. But, I mean, you could simply just say document as well. I had a view of the paper, and as he was signing and dancing for the camera, it looked like, from my point of view, when he was signing the paper, in reality, that he was erasing what was already put on there from a previous administration. So behind him, there was a small line of people who were in power while he was signing/erasing this information. They were clearly rich by their clothing. One had a full body fur coat that they had on. Again, on the document, I saw a date at the top being erased. It was something dated from a long time ago, and it was now blank. And in the middle, there was a section erased on the document that seemed to have some type of purpose. And I don't know what was written before, and I don't know what the date was before, because when I was able to see into the paper better, or the certificate, it had already been erased. Then someone, and I can't remember if it was me or seeing through someone else's eyes. Sometimes it can be a little iffy what kind of position you have in a dream. But I scribbled on the signature portion, whether it was actually me or me just seeing through the eyes of someone who was doing it, I don't know. But that portion was being signed so that the public could see that the document was signed. So what was happening is that either myself, which I really don't feel like it was me, I feel like it was me seeing through the eyes of whoever was doing it, was making a signature. Meanwhile, this is being televised, remember? So while it was being televised, it kind of like zoomed in on the signature to make it seem to the public as if whatever they were kind of promoting that they were actually doing, and they really weren't, was being signed. So to the cameras, they were trying to make it look like this whole pomp and circumstance political theater that they were doing looked like a legit act of some type of service that they were doing, signing a document, okay? There was also an emphasis on the young and old men conversing with one another, as well as women walking around in a lustful way, indicating immoral behavior among the men. This was something that was happening kind of in the area, not where people could see televised, but this is what was like behind the scenes actually happening, okay? I don't know if that makes any sense. But they weren't in camera view with this stuff, this immoral behavior that was happening. So let's talk about this a little bit. I have done just a smidge of research, not that much, because I just haven't dove into it too much. But what I found interesting, okay, anytime God gives you a person or a specific name, I always pray into that specifically, because God doesn't just give you a random Joe without it having some type of meaning behind it. God has purpose and detail in everything that he creates, including your dreams. Can't get my words out, but you know what I'm saying. So the part I looked into is the fact that he specifically mentioned that the person who was signing the document, which I knew to be a political figure, okay? This person was Kramer from Seinfeld. And I actually remember in a dream being like, why him? Because it just seems so odd. So I just did a simple search for the character himself and like any type of description of the character. That information helps you understand what type of person God is referring to. So I wrote in my notes, based off of research that you yourself can do online, his name was obviously Cosmo Kramer and just being called Kramer. And he was considered a lovable rogue. Okay? Rogue meaning you just go off and do your own thing. You don't care about anybody else. And then on top of that, it added that he had usually impractical business ideas. These are the two things that really stood out to me, because I couldn't help but think that Mendami, I think that's how you say his name. I'm not the best at pronouncing names sometimes. Anyways, the new mayor for New York City. How I can clearly see, me personally, how these things align up with who he is. He's a lovable rogue. Many people love him and they don't always know why. They just think he's a great guy. But a rogue meaning where he's wanting to do things his own way or some way different. And people are not really seeing the full agenda behind everything. And I could see how he has impractical business ideas with a socialism, communism type aspect. You could probably even put a spin on the fact that his first name is Cosmo. And when you hear Cosmo, you think the cosmos or the stars. And if you want to jokingly say that he's out there, but I don't think that would be relevant. That's just me being goofy with that. But his name means things as well. And you can probably do more research on your own and ask the Lord for clarification. But let's get back to this aspect and not dwell so much on his name. I think it's very crucial that there's, I believe, a warning in this that the mayor of New York City is going to be outwardly televised, showing that he is signing a document or some type of historical thing where he's coming into agreement with, when in reality, he's just erasing it. So, not that I want this to come to pass, but I do believe this is a clear warning that there's something, don't know what, that he's going to be trying to show that he is signing or coming into agreement to or putting into place, when in reality he's erasing everything. He's erasing the date. He's erasing the actual depth of the document. He's erasing the signatures. He's erasing it to as if it never existed. So that could be capitalism being erased in New York City. Very possible. Another added thing is that there was a small group of people behind him that clearly has some money that were backing him, quite literally, and I believe figuratively as well, financially, all of the things. The fact that I saw one person wearing a full body fur coat, it may be a kind of nod or wink to someone in particular. I don't know who, but that is very possible as well. And I think the last part where it's emphasizing these conversations between young and old men and inappropriate acts happening behind the scenes, I believe that's just a nod to the fact that there's a lot of demonic activity happening in the background, a lot of uncleanliness things that God does not approve of happening where we do not see. Overall, I believe, as much as this was a warning and a clue to something that might happen possibly in the near future, I don't know when, but I believe it is important for us as believers to intercede on behalf of New York City, whether you live there or not. And I know it's real easy to be like, well, I don't live there, so who cares? It doesn't affect me. Well, you know what? That type of mentality, here's what happens. It has a ripple effect where things go to pot somewhere else. And so people go somewhere else and create the same kind of atmosphere and situation. That place goes to pot, and it's just a ripple effect. So yes, you do need to pray. It might not be something you're personally dealing with right now, but it could be if you're not interceding and praying for things to turn around and for God to intervene in a mighty way.